forester's curse. The water level had risen again. That was the third time this month. Something was blocking the northern junction of Manchester's Victorian sewer system, and it was my job to find out what. "Jack, you ready?" Derek called, his voice echoing off the damp brick walls. He was already halfway down the ladder, his headlamp cutting through the darkness below. "Coming," I replied, adjusting my own light and following him down. "I'm Jack Mitchell. 15 years in sewer maintenance gives you a certain perspective on what lies beneath a city. The underbelly that nobody thinks about. The veins carrying away what nobody wants to see. But in all those years, I'd never encountered anything like what we found that day. The blockage was located in an older section of the system, built sometime in the 1880s, judging by the brickwork. The tunnels were narrower here, the ceiling lower. Water trickled continuously down the curved walls, and our boots made wet, sucking sounds as we trudged through the muck. "Should be just around this corner," Derek said, consulting the system map on his tablet. He was new, only been with us for 3 years. Young, ambitious, and far too comfortable in these tunnels for my liking. The sewers demanded respect. They held secrets. We rounded the corner, our lights revealing the blockage, a collapsed section of wall with debris damming up the flow. But as we approached, Derek stopped suddenly. "Jack, look at this wall." Our beams illuminated what appeared to be a crack in the brickwork, but it wasn't a natural collapse. The edges were too straight, too deliberate. "Someone's broken through here," I said, running my gloved hand along the edge. "Recently." "No way," Derek scoffed. "Who would break into a sewer?" But he was wrong. The hole wasn't broken in. It was broken out. From the other side. "Help me clear this," Derek said, already pulling away loose bricks. I hesitated. Something felt wrong about this. Something felt watched. "We should report this first," I suggested. "Get a structural team down here." Derek ignored me, widening the gap. "Look, there's a space behind here. Grab that flashlight, the big one." Against my better judgment, I did as he asked. The powerful beam cut through the darkness beyond the wall, revealing a tunnel that shouldn't exist. It wasn't part of the sewer system. The stonework was different, older, hand-carved. "Holy shit," Derek breathed. "We need to check this out." "No, we need to call this in," I insisted. "After we take a quick look," he said, already squeezing through the hole. "Come on, Jack. Where's your sense of adventure?" It wasn't adventure that made me follow him. It was experience. 15 years taught me never to let someone go alone into an unknown tunnel. But I should have listened to the unease crawling up my spine like ice water. The tunnel stretched before us, angling down into the earth. The air was different here. Stale, but with something else. An earthiness that didn't belong to the sewers. A scent like forest floor after rain. Underground, that didn't make sense. We walked for perhaps 5 minutes before the tunnel widened into a chamber. Our lights played across the walls, revealing intricate carvings, figures in robes standing among trees, animals, wolves mostly, interspersed between the human forms, and symbols, hundreds of them, spiraling patterns and runes I didn't recognize. "This is old," Derek whispered, his earlier enthusiasm dampened by the oppressive silence. "Really old." "Ancient Order of Foresters," I said, reading an inscription above what appeared to be a doorway on the far side of the chamber. "The what?" "Like the insurance company?" "No, this is something else. A secret society, I think." I'd read about them somewhere, though I couldn't remember details. Something about protecting forests, ties to druidic traditions. The doorway led to another larger chamber, and that's where we found them. artifacts arranged on stone shelves and altars, wooden staffs crowned with antlers, masks carved from what looked like human skulls, modified with animal features, ceremonial daggers with bone handles. But most disturbing were the remains. At the center of the room lay a stone bier, and upon it, something that had once been human, and something else entirely. The skeleton was humanoid but wrong, the spine too long, the skull elongated and crowned with antler stubs fused to the bone itself. The rib cage was massive, expanded well beyond human proportions. "We need to go," I said firmly, "now, and we need to report this." Derek wasn't listening. He was examining a small wooden box, intricately carved with forest scenes. "Look at this craftsmanship," he said, opening the lid. Inside lay a necklace, a silver chain supporting a pendant of amber with what looked like a wolf's fang suspended within. "Don't touch that," I warned, but again too late. He lifted it out, holding it to the light. "This could be worth a fortune," he grinned. Then his expression changed, growing serious. "We should document all this properly. I know someone, Marcus, he teaches archaeology, and his girlfriend Olivia, she specializes in ancient British societies. They could help us figure out what this place is." "We need to tell the authorities," I insisted. "And let them take all the credit?" "Come on, Jack. Let's at least find out what we've discovered first." I should have been firmer, should have made him put everything back. But I didn't, and that's why 3 more people are dead, and why I haven't slept properly in weeks. When I agreed to call Marcus and Olivia instead of the authorities, I sealed all our fates. They arrived the next evening after our shift ended, equipped with cameras and notebooks, eyes wide with academic excitement. "This is extraordinary," Marcus kept saying as he examined the carvings. "Pre-Roman, possibly, but with medieval additions." Olivia was more cautious. "These warnings," she said, translating inscriptions I hadn't even recognized as language. "They're repeated throughout. Seal the Forestborn. Keep the offering place hidden. What walks between must stay within." "Forestborn?" Derek asked. "Some kind of entity they worshipped, it seems," she replied, moving deeper into the tomb. "There's more here. A history of sorts." The 4 of us gathered around as she translated the flowing script carved into a central pillar. "The Forestborn accepted our offerings and protected the sacred groves," she read slowly. "For generations the pact was honored, until the hunger came upon it, and it turned against those who venerated it." "It killed people," Marcus clarified unnecessarily. "Though its physical form was destroyed, its spirit continued to harm those who entered its domain," Olivia continued. "Thus we have sealed both remains and spirit in this tomb, never to be found." A heavy silence fell over us. I felt cold suddenly, despite the stuffiness of the chamber. "Well, we found it," Derek said finally, a nervous laugh escaping him. "We should leave," I said again. "This place was sealed for a reason." "It's just superstition," Marcus scoffed. "Primitive people explaining natural phenomena. This is an archaeological gold mine." They spent hours documenting everything while I grew increasingly uncomfortable. The shadows seemed to move when I wasn't looking directly at them. Sounds, faint scratching like claws on stone, came from deeper within the tomb, though Marcus insisted it was just water dripping or rats. Despite my protests, they began collecting samples. Derek with his necklace. Marcus took a ceremonial dagger. Olivia selected a small stone tablet covered in inscriptions. I refused to take anything, but I didn't stop them either. Another failure on my part. As we prepared to leave, I noticed something. The skeletal remains on the stone bier, the hybrid creature, seemed different somehow. I could have sworn the jaw had been closed before. Now it hung open, as if in a silent scream. But I said nothing, telling myself it was just my imagination. We sealed the wall behind us as best we could, making it look like a typical collapse, and went our separate ways. Derek promised to call me the next day after speaking with Marcus and Olivia about their findings. He did call, but not for the reason I expected. "Jack," his voice was strained, barely above a whisper. "Something's wrong." "What do you mean?" "Last night, I heard scratching at my bedroom window." "You live on the 4th floor," I reminded him. "I know where I fucking live," he snapped, then immediately apologized. "Sorry, I didn't sleep. It went on for hours. Scratch, 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 like claws on glass." "Probably just a tree branch," I suggested, though I knew there were no trees near his building. It wasn't a branch, and there was something else. A smell, like earth and rotting leaves, inside my apartment. That forest scent from the tomb. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. "Did you see anything?" A long pause. Just shadows, moving. And when I looked directly, nothing was there. But the scratching, Jack, it wouldn't stop. We met at a cafe that afternoon. Derek, Marcus, Olivia, and me. None of them looked well. Dark circles shadowed their eyes, and they flinched at every sudden noise. "It happened to you too?" Marcus asked Derek, who nodded. "Scratching at the windows, all night." "I kept seeing something at the corner of my vision," Olivia added, "like someone standing just out of sight. But when I turned..." She shivered. "It's just guilt," I suggested, though I didn't believe it. "We disturbed a burial site. It's weighing on us." "Did you experience anything?" Marcus asked me. I hadn't. Not yet. And I was the only one who hadn't taken anything from the tomb. "We need to research this," Olivia said. "The ancient order of foresters, the Forestborn. There might be records." We agreed to meet again in 2 days. Olivia would check university archives, Marcus would speak with colleagues, and Derek and I would go back to work as normal, to avoid suspicion. But nothing was normal after that. The next night, the scratching began at my door. Soft at first, almost hesitant, then growing more insistent. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I tried to convince myself it was the wind, a neighbor, anything rational. But then I smelled it, forest loam and decay, seeping in from the hallway. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw antlers silhouetted against my bedroom wall, cast by nothing. I heard breathing, not my own. I felt watched. In the morning, there were marks on my door. 3 parallel grooves gouged deep into the wood, from the outside. Derek didn't show up for work. I called repeatedly, but he didn't answer. After my shift, I went to his apartment. The building manager let me in after I explained Derek had missed work. The apartment was empty, but not undisturbed. Claw marks raked the walls. The windows were intact, but covered in scratches from the outside. On the 4th floor, the amber necklace lay on the floor, the pendant cracked open, empty. I called Marcus and Olivia. No answer from either. Sick with dread, I went to Marcus's home next. The same scene greeted me, signs of a struggle, deep gouges in the walls and floor, but no Marcus. The ceremonial dagger was on his desk, its bone handle cracked, the blade dulled as if used repeatedly against something very hard. I didn't need to check on Olivia to know she was gone too. I knew what had happened, what I'd allowed to happen. The Forestborn had been released, and it had taken them. But why not me? I returned home in a daze, locking the door, though I knew it wouldn't matter. Night fell, and with it came the scratching again. But this time, it was accompanied by voices. Derek's, Marcus's, Olivia's, calling my name from the hallway, begging me to let them in, saying they were hurt, freezing, afraid. I knew it wasn't them. The Forestborn was clever, using their voices to lure me out. I covered my ears, but the voices changed tactics, becoming accusations. It was my fault. I had led them to the tomb. I had let them take the artifacts. Their deaths were on my hands. They were right. As dawn broke, bringing temporary silence, I made my decision. I had to go back, had to return what was taken, had to try to end this. I gathered what remained: the cracked amber pendant, the dulled dagger, and the stone tablet I'd found at Olivia's apartment. I waited until my night shift, then made my way alone to the collapsed wall. The tunnel beyond seemed darker than before, the air heavier, the forest scent overwhelming. I knew it was waiting for me, following, watching from just beyond the reach of my light. Occasionally, I heard movement, the soft pad of footsteps, the scrape of antlers against stone, but it didn't attack. It was herding me deeper. The tomb chambers were changed. The carvings seemed to writhe in my flashlight beam, the figures in eternal forest scenes now contorted in expressions of pain. The stone bier in the central chamber was empty. The hybrid skeleton was gone. I placed the artifacts back where we had found them. The necklace in its box, the dagger on its stand, the tablet in its niche. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the tablet. "I've brought them back," I said aloud, my voice echoing in the chamber. "They've been returned. It's done." The scratching started again, all around me now, from every wall, every shadow. The smell of forest decay grew so strong I gagged. My flashlight flickered, dimmed, then went out. In the perfect darkness, I heard it moving, circling, breathing. I felt something brush against my back, fur and something slick, wet. Hot breath on my neck, a low, rumbling growl that was almost a purr. "Please," I whispered. "I've returned everything. I've done what you wanted." A voice that wasn't a voice answered, not in words, but in the impression of meaning pressed directly into my mind. Not everything. And I understood. I was the last piece, the last one who knew, who had entered the sacred space, who had allowed the desecration. The Forestborn wanted me. I ran, blind, desperate, crashing into walls, feeling my way through the darkness. Behind me, it followed, not rushing, patient, certain. The scratch of claws on stone, the click of antlers against the ceiling. It was toying with me. I don't know how I found my way back to the breach in the wall. Luck, perhaps. Or perhaps it allowed me to, extending the chase. I squeezed through, tearing my clothes, scraping my skin raw against the bricks. Back in the sewer tunnel, I recovered my flashlight, smacking it until it flickered back to life. In its dim glow, I saw the hole in the wall, saw what was starting to emerge. Antlers first, massive, branching, scraping against the opening, then eyes red as embers, set in a face both human and not. The skin was stretched too tight over a skull that wasn't shaped right. The mouth opened, revealing teeth too sharp, too numerous. I ran again, splashing through the filthy water, the light bouncing crazily off the tunnel walls. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could hear it pursuing now, no longer playing, no longer patient. The splash of heavy limbs through water, the rasping breath, the growl that vibrated the very air. I reached the access ladder and climbed, my hands slipping on the metal rungs. Emerged into the street, gulping the night air, slammed the maintenance hole cover back into place. For long moments, nothing happened. No sound from below, no scratching. Had I escaped? Then the cover began to move, sliding aside with a grating sound of metal on concrete. I fled again, home, locked doors, windows sealed, lights blazing in every room, sleep impossible. That was 3 weeks ago. I've quit my job. I don't go out anymore. Food delivery only, left at the door. I've covered all the windows, but it doesn't matter. I know it's out there. Each night the scratching begins again. Each night the voices of my dead friends call to me. I've written this all down as a warning. The ancient order of foresters knew what they were doing when they sealed away the Forestborn. Some things should remain buried. Some tombs should never be opened. The scratching is starting earlier tonight. It's at my bedroom window now, though I live on the 6th floor. I can smell forest decay seeping in through the cracks. The shadows in the corners of my room seem deeper, moving when I'm not looking directly at them. I know I can't escape it. The Forestborn has marked me, just as it marked the others. I'm living on borrowed time. Sometimes I think I should just open the window, end the waiting, but I'm a coward. So I sit here, writing this warning that probably no one will see until it's too late. If you're reading this and you encounter something old, something sealed away for good reason, leave it be. Don't disturb what was meant to stay hidden. Don't release what was imprisoned. And if you hear scratching at your window tonight, don't look. Don't ever look. Sometimes, when walking past a storm drain, I swear I can hear howling from below. If you enjoyed this tale of ancient guardians and the price of disturbing sacred ground, please like, share, and subscribe to MDCreepypasta on YouTube for more stories that will keep you looking over your shoulder. Remember, some treasures are meant to stay buried, especially those guarded by the Forestborn.